Hi everyone, my name is Kevin Gerdes, and we're chatting all things foster care. Myself and Gays with Kids has partnered together to share stories of single dads who are LGBTQ+ and navigating the foster care system right here in the United States. Now, you might be asking yourself, why Kevin and who is this guy? So let me explain how all of this came about. When I knew that it was time for me to start my journey to becoming a parent, I decided to go down the path of foster care. And when I took to YouTube, I was hopeful that I would find other LGBTQ+ people who were documenting their journeys through foster care, and sadly, there just wasn't many. So I decided to start my own YouTube channel and to document my journey to fatherhood. And that is when Gays with Kids and I met. We started chatting about what we could do together to bring more awareness to the foster care system in a positive and affirming light. And that's what brings us to today, a new series discussing all things single dads and foster care, brought to you by Gays with Kids and hosted by me, Kevin Gerdes. If you'd like to check out my channel, it's called Kevin Adopts, and the link for that is in the description below. So let's get started. Today we're chatting with a gentleman named Stephen Engle. Stephen has actually been featured on Gays with Kids in the past a few times, so you might even recognize his face. He lives here in Los Angeles and has a now adopted son named Oscar, who's almost 3 years old. So it's safe to say, Stephen has been doing this daddy thing for some time now. And an expecting father, like myself and probably those that are watching, could learn a thing or two from him. So let's get this started. Hi Stephen, how are you?
Hello, Kevin. How are you? I'm doing great.
This is great. This is wonderful. So I'm really excited to finally see you, like, sort of face to face, live.
The best we can.
Yeah, the best we can. And it's a little bit odd to be in the same city and we can't.
Exactly. Can't even find time to meet up.
So what we're going to do, we're going to chat a little bit about foster care and what it's like to be a single dad through the foster care experience here in the United States. But I think it's important that we note some of these things that we talk about, because we're in Los Angeles and doing this here, might be different from other cities. So if anyone's watching, take the time to research what foster care is like in your city, because there might be different local laws and things like that. So can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Tell me a little bit about your son and your journey from, when you wanted to start fostering. How did you fall into this? Did you think about private adoption and that type of stuff?
That's a great question. First, I want to applaud you for documenting your journey.
Thank you.
I am one of the dads that did not do that. So that's amazing that you're doing that, and I wish that I had done that. It happened very fast for me. I was literally out with a good friend of mine, probably now, it must have been 4 years ago, and we were out. We were just getting together, meeting up, and I must have said something that I've always wanted kids, and his response to me was, "Well, why don't you have them?" Mm. And part of me, as embarrassed as I was, I think, in that moment, I knew that just from my upbringing and from where I came from and who I was up until that point, in my mind, I sort of just always thought, oh, I need to be in a relationship to have kids. Mm. And it was like a moment that it just clicked, like, yeah, why don't I have kids? And from that moment on, I literally hit the ground running and just started exploring all my options. Mm. And I realized how fortunate that I am living in Los Angeles, being a gay man, and wanting to foster, wanting to adopt, and knowing that I can do that. Mm-hmm. And I think that also probably played a lot of it, because I grew up on the East Coast, and I knew it was possible, but I don't think I understood that it was possible for me, if that makes any sense.
100%. It's so similar to my experience, because when I thought about becoming a parent in any form, it was very much like this internal conversation that I was having with myself of like, man, I really want to be a parent. I want to nurture another being. And I said, why don't I just have children?
Exactly right.
And I was like, why am I not doing this? And I thought to myself, it was actually while I was on a dating app. And I was like, why do I want to date so bad? And why am I dating? Why am I going on dates and yada, yada? And my next thought was so that I could have a family. And that's when I said to myself, why do I need to find a partner to have children? Like I could just do it on my own. And that revelation is like,
it's such a simple notion, but you got to get there to believe it almost.
I think like I think, you know how they say like, how'd you know you wanted to get married? How'd you know you wanted to have children? You just know when you know. And I think that's what that little spark is.
Yes.
It just clicks.
Yeah. Well, yes. And luckily it clicked for you. It clicked for me. And I feel like from that moment, I had a friend of mine that I dated briefly. And I remember that he fostered and adopted his son. And so I just called him out of the blue and I was like, oh, can we meet up for a coffee or something? I just want to pick your brain about some things.
And this is back in New York?
No, this is all in LA. This is in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So met up with him, started asking him all these questions about it. And he told me a few of the statistics that were about the foster care system, specifically in LA County. And I just felt sort of compelled to go in that direction. I was also looking at private adoption, surrogate, all the options. And for me, and I don't, everyone has to make their own choice and their own decision what is right for them. I went into the whole orientation, into the training with an open mind. And I kept telling myself, okay, if something comes up today that I'm just like, oh, this isn't for me, I tried and I'm going to move on and try something else. But every session that I went to, orientation, the training sessions, it reinforced something. This is it. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. I know 100%. And that fueled me to get certified and as quickly as I could. And I remember I started my training in October of, let me see if I can get the year right, 2017, I guess it was.
Oh, yeah.
Or 2016. I take that back. 2016. And then I was certified by the holidays at the end of 2016.
Wait, do you know what month you started?
Yeah, I remember I started in the fall. I remember weird.
Yeah, this is the craziest thing. I started my certification in August.
Oh, really?
And I just got approved, the beginning of this month. It's like we're so on the same timeline.
I remember mainly because I went away for a trip. I went on a trip for the holidays.
Yeah.
And I missed a call for a placement.
Oh, no.
They called a different line. They didn't call my cell phone, basically. And I didn't get it until I got back. So I remember now, I always remember, I was in Vegas. I missed that call and I got back.
That's so interesting because a friend of mine said, hey, do you want to go to Joshua Tree this month? And I was like, I'm not going anywhere because if I get a call and I'm not here, I'm going to be devastated.
Yeah, it's true.
So you thought about fostering, you started the process, but before going to get your certification, what was your thought around things like surrogacy? Because if you're like me, I didn't think about surrogacy because I'm too terrified. I'm too obsessive. So I don't know that I could trust someone to carry my child and not literally live in my house with me. So I could be like a home over them.
That's an issue.
But did you think about private adoption? What made you rule that out?
I did think of private adoption. At the end of the day, it was the more I learned about it, the more it sort of left almost like a sour taste in my mouth. Like it didn't feel like it was for me.
Mm-hmm.
as far as having a surrogate, I did contemplate that because part of me was like, oh, I'll have my own child, you know.
Mhm.
But I know myself, and to be literally given a catalog or a book of potential, you know, egg donors, I wouldn't be able to decide. Like that
Mhm.
would stress me out and like to no end. Like I wouldn't be able to make that decision, I feel like.
So when it comes to things like, or when you were considering private adoption, did you think about the cost of it? Because when I was looking at it, I definitely was surprised how costly it can
I
be.
was shocked at how much it cost.
Yeah.
Like with all these children, these kids that need homes.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't know. I couldn't put a price on it, but when I found out, oh, well, you need this, you need this, you need that, I was like, okay, this is all adding up.
Yep.
And what I was sort of discovering or finding out was the more you spend, almost the better guarantee that you have of getting that child.
100%. You know, I saw things anywhere from $25,000 to $75,000. And it's like, that's a huge gap.
Exactly. It's
Like,
a big window, isn't
like,
it?
what's going on here? One place had insurance on the fact that, like, because you could invest all this money and they want you to pay for the mother's part of her housing and all this stuff.
Yes,
And then she could say, well, I'm not giving my child up, like on the
I
the
know, I
day
know.
that they're born.
And I have friends
And
that has happened to, and it's
that's
heartbreaking.
devastating.
And I
Devastating.
sort of took what happened to them as a lesson that there's no guarantee in anything in life, I feel like.
Mhm.
And I thought with the foster care system, I know these children need a home. I can provide that for them, unconditional love, you know, everything that they need. And it just kind of steered me in that direction and
So,
taking that route.
okay, so you go to your agency. Which foster agency did you use?
I worked with extraordinary families here in Los Angeles,
Okay,
and
cool.
they're fantastic. And I don't think you mentioned it. I had 3 placements before Oscar.
Yeah, so I wanted to chat about that a little bit. So
Yes.
when you are placed, let's break that down a little bit for people who might be watching. So once you get your certification, you go through, for people like you and I, it seems like mine was very quick and it seems like yours was very quick as well. But I've also heard of people taking 9 months,
Oh
12
yes.
months just to get their
Correct.
certification. So
Yes.
it can go quickly depending on how fast you move, but it can also take a very long time. So once you get your
Yeah.
certification, you just wait for your call. Now,
More or less.
once you get your call, I know for my agency, I'm using Aviva Family and Children Services. I've told them that I would like to foster a newborn to the age of 1. What was your age range that you told them?
I was even more specific than that.
Oh,
I wanted a newborn.
okay, gotcha.
Mainly for selfish reasons that I wanted that experience with the newborn.
I
You
don't think
know,
it's
had I
selfish.
had a child of my own, I wanted to experience that.
I
Um,
don't think it's selfish at all. I think there's an aspect of, because I experienced this myself, of knowing that I really want that bonding relationship that babies need at that time. And I know that babies need a different nurturing than even Oscar needs.
Correct. Yes.
So yeah.
And as a single parent, that was also a factor in the decision because as one person, I was able to provide that for an infant.
Hmm.
Had I brought a toddler into my home or even an older child with work and everything, it would have been very difficult for me as a single parent.
Hmm.
So I felt most comfortable going with an infant.
So when you're fostering, we're not allowed to talk about the children's. If a child is still currently in the foster care system, we're not allowed to share their names. We're not allowed to put them on social media. We cannot talk about why they are being fostered, things like that. I know some parents whom adopted their children from the foster care system even don't like to tell their children's story because they don't feel like it's their story to tell. They want to let the children share that whenever they grow up, if they so choose to. So I know we want to protect your son's story and things like that as well.
Yes, yes. But at the same time, I feel like there's a stigma attached to the foster care system, that I think we need to talk more about it.
I agree. And that's why we're doing things like this, because there's a lot of people that talk very, I don't even know if negatively is the word, because I don't think people say horrible things. Maybe you have different experiences, but definitely not in the most positive light when it comes to fostering. So I think that's why this even was a thing.
Well, I think people's minds automatically go to the absolute worst, case scenario with these children. And what's heartbreaking to me is that these children are innocent. They did not ask for any of this. They do not deserve any of that blame or whatever is attached to their situation. I mean, I took all 4 of my kids home from the hospital.
Wow.
And none of them asked for the situation that they were born into.
So so I have that question for myself, and Aviva has talked to me about, you might have to go to the hospital and pick up the child. And it's exciting, but it's also so unknown to me. Like I literally imagine myself walking into like Cedar Sinai or wherever I have to go and being like, hi, I'm here to pick up this child.
And that's like, it's crazy having done, well, actually I take that back. I didn't pick up all of them. The first one, he was actually delivered to me. He was dropped off at my place here. But the other 3 were from the hospital, and going to 3 different hospitals, I got to see 3 different hospitals protocol and
wow.
the way that they react to foster parents.
What are some of those?
Well, one of them, I won't mention the name.
Yeah.
I felt like I could have taken any child I wanted.
Oh, goodness gracious.
They literally were like, check out with the security guy at the end of the hallway. There was nobody at the end of the hallway. I got in the elevator and I left. So I was like, okay, well, there's nobody here. There's not even like a station for somebody to be seated at.
Oh, goodness.
And then other hospitals, it was every different person that I interacted with. They checked my band, they checked my name, they checked, all the background. I'm like, okay, this feels a little more.
I feel like I need to bring my passport or something with me when I go to be like, I am Kevin.
I think driver's license will suffice in that situation.
So you can, I want to try to provide as much value as possible, right, through these conversations.
Of course.
So the reason you've experienced 3 placements prior to your son is because the goal of fostering is always to reunify the child with their biological family. May it be their bio parents or grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, things like that.
Yes. They will try everything in their power to keep them with a blood relative.
Mm-hmm. What is the experience like having to give them back?
It's heart-wrenching. It's the most pain I think I've ever experienced in my life. I remember after the 3rd little boy that I fostered, I called my agency in tears, just like, I can't do this anymore. Like this, I've done it 3 times. I'm doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Like it's hurting too much. Aww. Like, I don't know if I can get past this. And I literally told them, I said, unless something amazing comes up, like I can't do this. Like, I'll call you guys if I change my mind for whatever reason, but I have to take care of myself at this point. Yeah. I did those 3 kids all in 1 year, all in 2017. I had my first one for 4.5 months. The little girl I only had her for about 12 days. And then I had the 3rd little boy for 3.5 months. Wow. So that took up pretty much January to Christmas Day, or the day after Christmas is when he left, the last one.
So then you then you are kind of in this hold place, and then you get a call for Oscar. How long was it from child 3 to Oscar's call?
About 20 days, probably,
Wow.
almost 3 weeks.
Wow.
I literally was getting back into the world, and wasn't obviously not expecting a call from extraordinary families at all. And I was at Gelson's, grabbing a few things, and my phone starts like blowing up, text messages, the phone's ringing. I'm like, what's going on? So I immediately just mute everything and turn it off. So I'm like, nothing that exciting is happening to me. And then I'm in the checkout line, and finally I'm like, all right, I'll look at my phone, and I see text messages, call me ASAP.
Wow.
And I remember thinking, oh, they have a child for me.
Wow.
They have a baby. This is it. Like, they would not be calling multiple times to talk to me just to see how I'm doing. Like, they care about me a lot, but so I checked out. I got into my car, and I called them, and they said they thought they had a very, very good probability of going to adoption, this child. And I'm bawling in the parking lot at Gelson. I know this is my chance. If I want to do it, this is it. And what's interesting is, and I'm sure you were told from your agency, have a list of people that you're going to call after you receive a placement call. Just kind of run things by. It's not like a spouse or a partner to bounce ideas off of. And with Oscar, he was the first one that I didn't have to call anybody. I was like, yes, like I have to do it.
Wow.
Yes. And cut back to the friend of mine that I met for coffee to pick his brain about fostering. He said to me, trust your gut when it comes to getting placements. And I remember thinking, all up until this point, my gut's not working. Like, it's not telling me anything. Like, what are you talking about? But there was just a sense of calm with him, with that call, everything involved in it, because you almost need, every case is different. And I remember hearing that all throughout training and being like, oh yeah, they can't be that different. Like, they're all cases, they'll be somewhat similar. They are all so different. And for a child to go from foster to adopt, you almost need like a perfect storm. Like, everything from the minor's attorney to the DCFS social worker to your social worker to the judge to everyone that is involved in that. And there are a lot of people involved in it. Once you receive a kiddo or a baby, your house, people are just coming in and out.
I wanted to ask you this question. So I follow you on Instagram. I love the pictures. They're really cute. Like vibes going on your feed. I love it. And Oscar's super cute. He is Black and you are not. Do you have any feelings around that? Like, what is that like for you? What was that like for you in the beginning? And I'll tell you the reason I ask this question is I even think about this for myself. I'm 34 and I know I look very young, and people always think I'm significantly younger than I am. And I worry, are people going to respect me parenting a baby? I worry if I'm placed with a Hispanic or Asian or white baby, how will people look at me as I'm, going to Starbucks or at Target or whatever it may be? Did you have any of those types of feelings through this process?
That's a great question. Well, in the current day and age with Black Lives Matter, yes, it is, and it has always been on my mind. With that said, I dread the day that I have to sit down and talk to him about that and what that means for him. And it worries me because as a white man, I am telling him and teaching him and educating him about something that I'm not familiar with. I can read about it. I can hear about it. I can protest with people. I can do all that, but that doesn't it doesn't apply to me, and that breaks my heart that I have to talk to him about that. One of the things that I've done with all my kids, and I just think it's a necessity for me, and I would say for parents across the board, especially single parents, surround yourself with an amazing group of people.
Yeah.
And of different walks of life, of, you know, different backgrounds, and just so they can see that. But I'm very aware of that, and I'm constantly trying to find things outside of what I'm used to experiencing, and opening his eyes to what I want him to experience.
I thought I'm glad you mentioned that, surrounding yourself around a wide array of people, because I hear it from the foster agency, and it's really nice to know like these things are, you know, seem to be across the board. Like, your agency's telling you certain things or told you
Right.
certain things, and mine, I'm hearing these similar things, and I hear, Kevin, you got to make sure you find other parents. You got to get into foster groups. You need to make sure you have a community of
Exactly.
people
Yes.
that are doing this type of thing. And they talk to me a lot about like rest, and even my mom, she's like, Kevin, you better sleep now because you're not going to be sleeping.
Yeah, but you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Like, every second of it. I wanted to backtrack a little bit about race and everything. And
Yeah.
I remember one of the things that struck me, or really stood out to me. I believe it's about 75 or 70% of the kids in the foster care system in Los Angeles are African American or Hispanic. And hearing that, and also hearing that they're the children that it's most difficult to place them, I almost knew instantly that I wanted one of those children.
Yes, yes.
And not to get into too much of my upbringing, but because of that, I knew that I wanted to include everybody.
I'm glad you mentioned your upbringing, because I wanted to ask you as well, what is your family's opinion on all things about, you know, you single parenting, fostering, things like that, this whole journey? What has your family been like?
Well, I have my biological family, and then I have a chosen family.
That's true, don't we all?
And my chosen family is so supportive, very involved in everything. And I do not have a relationship with my biological family.
Gotcha.
For the majority of them, I should say.
What are some of the things that you have experienced that you just didn't expect throughout this whole process? It could be about single parenting. It could be about foster care. Just, is there anything like you're like, I did not expect that to be like that?
I didn't expect, or I just, not to the magnitude of it. And like you said, Oscar's about to turn 3. He's at an age where it's fascinating to me to see things that take time, that I'm trying to teach him, click with what's going on in his brain and what's developing, and using that and applying it to life. And it's the most profound.
That's so cool.
It's amazing to watch. And to the point that now he knows, you know, if he has a tantrum or two, he's known for that. He'll notice if I start getting frustrated or upset, he'll start telling me, Daddy, take a belly breath. And I'm like, you're trying to teach me now? But I'm so proud that he's retaining this information and can apply it to others.
So
even not always doing it to himself, but that's a different story.
That's so cool. That to me is like a sign of good parenting. And I'll tell you what, I think like this is one reason we need more LGBTQIA plus people parenting, because we have lived such oppressed and repressed lives that now that we live in a time where fostering, adoption, all these different ways to be a parent are so readily available to us, whichever route we do choose to go down. We have so much love to give because, and I've told family members this and other blogs and stuff that like, me personally, the idea of being a parent never really was something, it's something I always wanted to do, but in the back of your mind or my mind, I knew that it was either unattainable or was going to be extremely difficult to attain, and that's why I think like we need more LGBTQI parents because we have so much love to give, and we live in a way that is so accepting of all cultures, all backgrounds, all people, that wouldn't you want, these are the fundamental things that we all, like that you teach your children. So,
right.
Why would you not want more people that are going to do that? And, there are states where it's a battle. It's a battle still.
Yes.
I think we are lucky to live where we live. Yeah.
But yeah, and also I think a major kudos to Gays with Kids, because they've inspired so much hope in me, seeing family after family every day that, they're constantly, showing their story and their background. It's beautiful. It's really amazing.
One of the things I love about them is I do see a lot of diversity in their videos. They're consistent in their videos and what they're doing, and it doesn't seem fabricated. It doesn't, everything is very authentic in the videos and content that they put out. I really, really appreciate it. I love them.
Yes. They're great.
And I'll say, when I approached them about possibly working together, they were, one of the main things that they said was, they were like, yes, off the bat. And we want to talk about foster, because a lot of our parents on our channel, are foster parents, and they've recognized that it's just not talked about enough. Just not like on their channel, but in general, it's not talked about enough,
Yeah.
So, but this has been really great. Like, I really I love getting to know you, and I'm grateful for your stories and your experience, and I thank you for just taking this time to talk to me and be a resource to people. Do you want to share your Instagram or anything like that? I think you have a private Instagram, so hopefully we can get
probably
you.
Do. I think I do. But it's at Stephen Engle.
All right, and we'll put it in the description as below as well.
Yes, put it down there. Yes.
Any final words, last thoughts?
With Extraordinary Families, I'm involved a lot with mentoring with new families, with prospective families, and I think it's great. If anybody has questions, please DM me or send me the questions, and I will try my best to get back to them, because I think it's important to be able to talk to somebody and ask questions and to get answers to them.
Yeah, and a great way that people can do that is we'll make sure we'll get whatever information you want to put in the description, but also comment below. If you put comments there, we can go back and we can continue conversation there. I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I see that people comment and have actual good conversations in these comments of different videos. So it's a really good way. And then people always have a resource to go back to, and new people that stuff. So
go back and
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, cool. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for everything you're doing. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And best of luck. Best of luck.
Oh, I'm so excited. Trust me, you're gonna get a phone call when I get the call, and I am like, so there's two people. My mom and my aunt are like, you better call me when you're on the way to the hospital. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna need to I'm gonna be freaking out.
It's stressful. I will warn you. It is a stressful phone call.
Yeah. So I'll call them when I get home, and I said, if you get a FaceTime video from me, that is why I'm FaceTime you. So I was like, from this day on, I will not FaceTime you unless I have a
Until
baby
then.
in my arms. So,
Your baby is out there.
you're right. Either out there or being made right now. That's what I tell myself.
That is true.
So, all right. Well, thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Kevin.